All right, y'all. So I'm gonna actually do this reading looking into Michael and Stephanie Mills. I feel like I'm getting the message on this that um things aren't as they may seem. You might be surprised by this one in some regards. I think Michael's story in particular in relationship to women um shaped him in a lot of ways, but it just really hasn't been acknowledged. So I think that's one of the things that's trying to poke through. Because I feel like I got this idea asking another question. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, nah, it was like this is what you need to look at first. So as always, just asking for protection. God, angels, ancestors. Thank you and amen. All right, so what wants to come through about Michael's relationship with Stephanie Mills? What wants to come through here? What about this story do we need to hear now? So we have cleaning up, but in reverse. Serendipity at the bottom. All right, I'm gonna just start off with reading that card, and then we're just gonna go from there. All right, the protection message for cleaning up in reverse is it is possible you may be focusing too much on other people right now, trying too hard to be helpful. Does taking on what belongs to others make you feel needed or desired? Perhaps you think it's your calling to relieve people of their burdens, but what is the cost to you and to them? Don't clean up someone else's side of the street. You're not helping by freeing him or her of responsibility. You're also not doing yourself any favors, and you just might be adding an even greater strain. You are loved as you are. You don't need to be needed to be loved. Hmm. All right. All right. So, you know what? I think I'm going to start. I'm going to go with this one. All right. Third party. First thing out. Truth revealed. Level up reverse. Love bomb. Power couple in the reverse. Friend zone in the reverse. Damn. Envy watching. So we heard about cleaning up somebody else's side of the street, and then third party was the first thing out. And it looked like maybe at the end of it, friendship really wasn't even there. Okay, express your love, let your friends help you, let go of control issues. It's safe for you to love. Let me see, did I get out my other deck? Did I get out my hoodoo deck? Oh yeah. I'm gonna bring out my hoodoo deck too, but I'm gonna definitely get some more because his friends help you and stuff like that. I know at the time I've heard that Miss Ross was involved somehow as well. So I would assume that was the third party, or either that could have been reversed, really. I mean, depending on how you look at it. Okay, yeah, I have the goddess, but in reverse. The garden. Okay, the tower. The heart. The star and the moon. The anchor. Yeah, I definitely feel like this is Miss Ross because you have this society aspect. See, this garden is like a community card, but you also have the star and the moon. So the star can talk about in this deck guidance. The moon here actually talks about an attractive couple, believe it or not. And then this is also talking about someone who is a star because it talks about shining in the light of the moon. So definitely to me, it seems like somebody who had already established their career is being brought up here. You also have this tower card, which in this deck talks about authority, isolation. Somebody could be keeping watch. The goddess reverse, when you see this card, you could be talking about the woman, the subject, right? Seeing it in reverse, if I did this reading on Stephanie, seeing this in reverse, then we're saying that this probably isn't talking about Stephanie. These other cards here. The anchor, of course, is something like deeply rooted. This was a long-term thing. And I feel like Miss Ross would fit that description, allegedly. I mean, so what was the angle of this? I'm just wondering, like, was it more like Stephanie stepping in on Miss Ross, really? You know what I mean? Because it's like you would assume the more realistic relationship would be the one closer in age, but again, it depends on how you look at it. So you have this is the Queen of Swords reverse, the Seven of Wands reverse, the Eight of Wands, the Five of Wands reverse, the Eight of Swords, and the Four of Wands reverse. Okay, then you got the Queen of Wands, Five of Cups. Yeah, this is a dysfunctional dynamic, dysfunctional family dynamic, and it seems like it was believed that this was not something that could just be walked away from with this Eight of Swords. Like it was a mental hold. You have this Queen of Swords reverse who can be really harsh. Five of Swords reverse along with that Eight of Wands. I don't know. To me, it looked like she was stepping in on Miss Ross' position. Really. Like that would have been the energy of it, if that makes sense. Let me see what else I'm getting. Okay, so I have abundance, lighten up, and bravery reverse, align reverse. Yeah, Miss Ross allegedly was in a situation to start with as a handler, if you will. She was supposed to keep watch to make sure that Michael stayed in line with the program. She was probably getting paid, under the table for this. But this was also keeping the abundance flowing because they were able to use his talents. But, at some point, he didn't really want to entertain, especially when he was younger. So she's coming in as a way to lighten up, but, she becomes controlling. And so at that point, this is like dialing him back. And that's where you got this Five of Cups around the Queen of Wands. It's like, all that came at a cost. There was grief around the situation. So it would sound like Stephanie, she willingly walked into this. All right, we have Judgment reverse and the Star. We also have Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands is combative. It's the second time we've seen Seven of Wands. And I'm going to say this with the Star and the Judgment. Judgment in the reverse, I think, is literal at this point. It's like almost saying it was not the best judgment. But also, this card in the erotic deck talks about love at first sight, and that's in reverse. And the Star also can talks about hopes and wishes. Um, I know it has a more specific meaning in this deck, but for the sake of what we're talking about, I think this is saying that she did walk in on it. So what was the results of that? Like her going in there, knowing that was Miss Ross territory. And you have reconciliation, playfulness. You deserve love. Separation reverse. Damn. Okay, we have heart to heart conversations. Make the effort. Free yourself. New love and religious factors. Pay attention to red flags. I can say offhand, I think he never separated from D, and it pushed them right back together. He might have played around with her. He might have played around with Stephanie. But I think him and D talked, and he ain't go nowhere. And he ended up freeing himself. But freeing himself was freeing himself of Stephanie. I don't know what this new love and religious factor. Was this some I don't know if this is like this some root work or something like that. Seeing this religious factors. Yeah, look at that. This is the high priestess for that day. The wheel in reverse. Six of Pentacles. Six of Wands reverse. That man was on his ass. Not riding into victory. Hangman reverse. And the King of Swords. Death. Ancestors. I think it was some root work, especially with this high priestess coming out. The hangman and the six of wands is in reverse. So the man in this situation was put out of his misery as far as his confusion goes. Because the tide turned in a certain direction. Like, Dee was going to keep making her money. And so whatever had to be done was just going to be done. And look at this. You have the ancestors and the empress on the split. Let me get some over here. Yeah, the mountain, the snake, okay, and the stork. The rider. Yeah, this got away quickly too. Like, I think Dee put up a block. She used her sexuality, but she was real sneaky about it. She also messed with Stephanie's career prospects as well. But she got what she wanted. She got things to change in the direction that she wanted. Notice how you're seeing the stork, though. I also saw the Empress on the split, and I saw the Ancestors card. But the Ancestors card in the Hoodoo deck is a child. in the crib. She might have done some root work with like a miscarriage or something to keep her hold on the situation. Yeah, the fates, conflict and chaos. Yeah, so it come out here really that the real relationship was Michael and Miss Ross allegedly. And from there it was Stephanie stepping in on territory that was already taken. And so it looked like it didn't go well though. All right, my bad. I actually had to stop for a minute, but we was at the face. So what was the energy between Michael and Stephanie then? If we just got the backdrop of energetically really this was Dee's man, essentially, right? And so Stephanie was the one coming in. What was the energy like between her and Michael? All right, so we have the book, the anchor, and the whip. Let's see, we got the whip, the clouds, the coffin, the mice, the birds, the man, and the crossroads, child reverse. So this man in the middle, notice how he has multiple options either on either side. Because a bird talks about dating multiple people. The crossroads does too if we're talking about dating. This has other meanings, but if you're talking about love, that's both of those cards mean that. And so you have this man in the middle. So we already saw the third party. Things deteriorate though with these mice. Things become infested, deterioration, all the above. Um, we have death or the coffin rather, and the clouds. Clouds are confusion, guys. But it definitely feels like she secretly knew, or she knew about the secret. Because when you see this book here, along with the anchor and the whip can be conflict too. So you're seeing this too with the conflict, the deterioration of things, infestation, problems, right? This is what the mice are. But the whip talks about abusive situations. It talks about conflicts. It talks about arguments. It talks about and it also talks about relationships. It says if it's a relationship that is romantic, it's also a sexual relationship. So she knew about this, is what I'm saying. Is Stephanie was aware of this. I don't know, this confusion, it was around this idea that she could put an end to it. That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, we have main character energy, green flags, what, second chance. We seen this again. We saw reconciliation earlier. Catfish, energy vampire, and boundaries. Situational single. Yeah, it seemed like to me she had, for a second or two there, she looked like she thought she had him. Um, but it was like psych, because this energy vampire situation, especially with the boundaries up, came right back around. Or really probably had never ended, to be honest. Yeah, unrequited love, finances, and career. Yeah, so her career was affected too, because that's why she didn't get the Wiz, the movie version of it, allegedly. All right, I'm gonna leave this one here, y'all. Y'all take it easy.